48 hours before crucial border talks between India and Pakistan headed by the chiefs of their frontier security forces, the Pakistan Rangers and the BSF, India today has accessed the core of Pakistan's talks agenda. Just days after the collapse of NSA level talks, we can now confirm that Pakistan's agenda could destroy this upcoming round as well. According to the Pakistan government and our sources in the Pakistan government, among the key points that will be raised by the Pakistani delegation is a demand to revive the role of the United Nations in the ceasefire violations of India and Pakistan. India today has learnt that the Pakistani side will suggest that the security forces of India and Pakistan take members of a UN team to sites where firing has taken place to establish which country was responsible for the ceasefire violation. I want to go straight across to India Today's Rahul Kaval, managing editor, for more on this. He's been able to access these exclusive agenda points a full 48 hours before the BSF Pakistan Rangers talks actually take place in New Delhi. Rahul, from the sound of it, this could be a spanner in the works even before the talks have actually begun. This is something that India has shot down several times before.
Oh, absolutely, Shiv, because the 1972 Shimla Agreement clearly says that all matters between India and Pakistan are to be resolved bilaterally. Since the 72 agreement, we don't even believe that the UNAMJIP, the United Nations Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan, has any role to play in mediating or in looking at the ceasefire situation in Jammu and Kashmir. However, Pakistan, we're learning from highly placed sources in the Pakistani establishment, will raise this issue when the Pakistani Rangers DG comes to Delhi to meet with his counterpart from the Border Security Force. We're also learning from senior sources in the Indian government that this is something that will be rejected outright. What is perplexing bureaucrats in the Ministry of External Affairs, Shiv, is that this discussion or this dialogue is supposed to happen about the international boundary, which is where the BSF and the Pak Rangers are deployed.
Yes.
The UNAMJIP, though, is supposed to take care of the ceasefire along the line of control. So people don't even understand in India why is this issue being raised at this time. Remember, this dialogue was very important to determine whether or not there's a possibility of an India-Pakistan meeting in any form in New York. This was one of the two preconditions, a good outcome from this dialogue and also peace in Jammu and Kashmir. But given the agenda, people in Delhi in the Ministry of External Affairs very suspicious of what the agenda of the Pakistan delegation is.
Absolutely, Rahul. Thanks for getting us this very crucial bit of breaking news right before the talks actually take place. Remember, they hinge on whether India will actually look at this in any other way than it has in the past. And that is highly unlikely to be. The fact that Pakistan is invoking the United Nations once again is in complete contravention to the Shimla Agreement, as Rahul just pointed out. So what are these talks really going to be about? More importantly, will they even happen if the main thrust of Pakistan's approach to these border talks is going to be an angle that India has simply shot down repeatedly before and will not under any circumstances entertain? But here's a related update, because one civilian, 48 hours before these talks actually take place, one civilian was killed and 6 others injured as Pakistan violated the ceasefire along the line of control in the Sojia forests of Poonch district in Jammu. The firing started at 6 a.m. today. India retaliated with heavy fire. Pakistan has resorted to firing 82mm mortar shells. That's pretty heavy fire. The latest ceasefire violation comes ahead of talks between the Director Generals of the BSF and Pakistan's Rangers. Meanwhile, warmongering continues from the Pakistan side. Pakistan's Army Chief Rahil Sharif has warned India of unbearable damage if it tries to impose a short or long war on his country. Well, after calling off the NSA level talks, Pakistan's antics have continued in a bid to provoke India. Pakistan's Army Chief Rahil Sharif has raised the Kashmir bogey once again, and that too right before Ranger BSF level talks, saying that the issue needs to be solved according to UN resolution. He even termed it as an unfinished agenda of partition. And adding to this latest provocation, another Pakistan minister, Nawaz's close aide, Khwaja Saad Rafiq, has said that India will face dire consequences if it continues to violate the line of control ceasefire. Putting the blame on India for tension at the border, he accused India of pushing South Asia to the brink of war. Well, India and Pakistan's security forces have been staring at each other at the international boundary after a spate of ceasefire violations. While the NSA-level talks last month were called off at the last moment, both countries remained firm on Director General level talks of Pakistan's Rangers and India's border security force slated for Wednesday in Delhi. Will it take place or not? Our correspondent Kamaljit Sandhu reports on the agenda on the table for these crucial talks that could pave the way for better relations.
A bullet for a bullet. Unleashing terror on Indian soil. Track 2 diplomacy with separatists. And a spate of ceasefire violations by Pakistan have triggered unusual aggression between both the neighbours.
Motor 112 report over.
While NSA-level talks failed to take off last month, tensions remained at the Indo-Pak border. But coming 9 September, both sides will finally be sitting across the table. The meeting is expected to be a storm in a teacup, with charges likely to fly thick and fast. Islamabad is expected to bring up 18 agenda points, while Indian BSF will confront with 15 points. The dialogue will primarily hinge on ceasefire violations, working boundary and deaths of civilians on both sides of the boundary. While there may be one surprising element, as it is expected that India will not raise Gurdaspur and Udhampur attacks. But many feel the occasion will just be limited to a photo opportunity.
Whatever is happening along the India-Pakistan border, it is not at the level of Pakistan Rangers or India's BSF. The action to be taken, the extent of firing across the border, the degree of infiltration, the protection to be extended to non-state actors of Lashkar-e-Toiba and others, that has been decided at a level higher than the Pakistan Rangers. And the Pakistan Rangers will only comply with the instructions given to them. If the instructions to them are that, well, Lashkar gangs are going to infiltrate into India, you provide them covering fire, you provide them protection, they will do that. So it is beyond the level of Pakistan Rangers. So whatever will happen, it would be more for show, and the discussions would be, I suppose, only on peripheral subjects, which would not affect the stability or peace along the borders.
This talk will proceed as planned. Pakistan is under intense international pressure for having actually making sure that the previous talks did not go through. They did not go through because we had a live terrorist with us. They would have shown us artificial doses. We would have confronted them with a live prisoner. Not one, but two of them. Hence, they were appropriately embarrassed.
The Indo-Pak talks, the skeptics believe, have always been one step forward and two steps backward. Even in this particular case where DG, BSF and Pak Rangers may be meeting, but the bonhomie may just be limited to papers. But this is a right direction, perhaps, in the steps of talking peace with neighbours.
With Kamaljit Sandhu in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.